On this episode of the Procedurally Generated Show, Tony heads to the moon and Ethan helps destroy a really big spaceship. We talk about the week's biggest news and answer your question. Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Procedurally Generated Show. I'm your host, Tony, and joining me this week, I've got Ethan.
I am not tangled in cables at the moment.
No?
Okay, now I'm not.
Okay. That's good. I mean, I don't want you to just randomly fall during the middle of the podcast because you try to move and you're tangled up in cords.
I have my phone charging, and I had the headphone cables, and stuff happened.
Yeah, I've got an assortment of cables just all over me now too, because I've got tons of stuff plugged in. I got the hardwired connection to the internet because that works best for the podcast. I got my headphone cord, I got the microphone cord, and I have the cord for the controller that I was using to play Gato Roboto in the pre-show. So it is a mess of cords around me.
I like how we're just gushing over everything in that game like we've never played it before.
Well, we got to make it interesting for the people watching.
But to be fair, I mean, that game it's still a fun game every time. That cat's adorable. I could watch that intro like 5 times and not be bored with it a day.
That game is absolutely adorable. For as limited, as limited a color palette and as limited the resolution is, because it's not, very detailed. We're talking maybe.
It really looks like it was designed for a Game Boy game.
It does
for modern day widescreen stuff. So it's got some. What's the word I'm looking for? It's got some character in there. There we go.
It has a lot of character in there, and we were talking during the thing how if they do another game, if they do a sequel, it needs to be called Super Gato Roboto. And let's go Super Nintendo level stuff. Let's just follow the Metroid track all the way through.
I was thinking more like the remake of Metroid 2.
Oh well, okay. I suppose that would work. Or I'm thinking like the Fusion or Zero Mission is that's the level of detail. That's my favorite sort of pixel art version of the Metroid series.
No, I was also thinking like AM2R, so another Metroid 2 remake. So that'd be another Gato Roboto remake.
It has to be long enough for them to be able to make a remake of Gato
Roboto. AGRR. There we go.
There you go. Another Gato Roboto remake.
I'm gonna get in contact with Milton and be like, "Hey, man,
let's do this thing."
He's gonna be like, "Man, I'm working on an actual game this time."
Well, I would be interested in seeing what he does, considering how good AM2R was.
Yeah, geez, I forgot where he's actually working at now, but he's working for a legit company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I don't remember where he went either. You'd have to see if you could get back in touch with him at some point.
You know what? I will try to do that and see what he's doing.
And also while we're talking about that, if anybody out there listening has any ideas for people they'd like to see us get on the show, developers, musicians, artists, anybody in the games industry, let us know, because we'd love to start getting more people on the show around the games industry. So, but for now, let's talk about some of the games we've been playing. And I know Destiny just had a really big thing happen today.
Yeah.
I saw it all over Twitter, and then I sent you a message what is this? What is going on?
Okay. What did you see on Twitter? Let's start with that.
Well, I just saw slow-mo of a giant spaceship explosion is what I saw, and a lot of people talking about this explosion.
Okay. So you didn't see what they were saying, right?
No.
Okay, all right. So in Destiny 2, in the base game, there's a level where you go onto this ship that's called the Almighty
Hmm.
that the Cabal have in our solar system, and it's siphoning energy from the sun and eating up Mercury or something, the planet, so
Okay.
that it can. I want to say it's doing that to Mercury. I don't know. Anyway, all that's happening, and they're powering that up so they can just destroy Earth. So not good. And we can't just blow it up because if we did that, it's going to blow up the sun and the entire solar system. So instead, we go kick the Cabal off the ship, and then, or whatever that is, and then we go and beat up Gaul or whatever his name is, and end of story. There we go. But here we are, three major expansions in, several seasons later, and we still have that thing just sitting up there in space, not being used. The Cabal get back on the ship, set it for a crash course with Earth on at the tower where all the Guardians are, and I am breaking a news story by talking about this. Yep, there it is. So, so yeah, that's a thing that's happening. They have it on a crash course for Earth. That's what this entire season has been about. Where we had to go get Rasputin up and running. He's the war mine on that works within the solar system. So we've been powering him up, getting all these rockets put into space, so that way he can shoot it down.
Okay.
And today at 12 p.m. Central Time is when the event was supposed to start.
Okay. Did it
So
not
you
start?
so you could go to the tower around. I went there about 11:30. Me and Stuart chilling over there, and you can see the Almighty up in orbit to the right of the Traveler, off in the distance, blotting out the sun, just coming slowly towards Earth. Well, not really. It supposedly it was moving, but it was it's a skybox.
Yeah.
And so 12 o'clock hits, and that's when it happened, Tony.
Really?
Yep, Twitter got a flood of messages and Destiny 2 hashtag going, asking Bungie, when's the event start?
Oh no.
Yeah, actually, it was like, all right, here it is. Everyone's ready, and then nothing's happening. I think it took about 30 minutes before anything was visibly happening. You could see just a little bit of some red lines just starting to form in space going towards the
Hmm.
Almighty up there. And when you have to use the bathroom and that's happening, oh man, it's like I don't want to miss this, but I really got to use the toilets. So that was an issue as well. I want to say it was like 1:30 by the time that thing was uh, between 1 and 1:30. That thing finally took the full brunt of the damage. Like over time, the red stuff finally started catching up to it. You started seeing little sparkly bits for the mini explosions, and then it got more in the center, and then the big boom where it finally blew up, and then it's still coming towards the tower. We're all at the tower watching. Each instance of the tower maxes out like 26 people, and there are people not able to connect and all kinds of fun stuff. But watching it live, like a first time major event in game engine for Destiny, it is a little underwhelming, really.
No.
But
Well,
that you got to see it shot down, and then debris actually destroyed a little chunk of the tower that you're at. It was actually near me where me and Stuart were standing, and I completely
really?
missed it. So that was pretty
Oh,
funny. And I was like, "Come over here! It's gonna crash over on this other side." And we rush over, and you just see it come slowly down, crashing into the ground. This giant, uh, kind of rush job of a skeletal ship design that's on fire, crashing into the ground.
man.
Like you could tell it was badly done. But I mean, for a really quick event, then you're not really supposed to be able to see it that well anyway. Uh, yeah, I guess I'm nitpicking a little bit. But yeah, that was the event. And
Okay.
so that's what happened today. Sorry, I didn't mean to break the news story, but since it coincides, might as well talk about that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, that's just what happened today. For the last 2 weeks, I've been working on trying to finish getting the title Almighty in
Mhm.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of Twitter messages from with you
Yes, and
trying to get that stuff set up.
yeah, and if you just tweet the right uh, guardians, they will say, "Hey, other guardians, help this guy out." And so I had like a ton of messages, people saying, "Hey, we're doing it here." We tried planning it, and just nothing was working. Finally, one guy said, "Hey, Thursday, 7:30 or something," and I was like, "All right, cool." And we got on there, or he was on PC. I've never friended someone on Destiny 2 on PC. It goes through Steam, so I'm trying to friend him on Steam. It's not working. As soon as I get it, I lost internet because there was a storm. It's like I'm not destined to get this title at all. This is the last week. So
Well,
I'm kind of freaking out over this because it's like this is the first time I actually have someone who has a bunch of other people that he can call on, and we're all gonna join up and do this. So I'm thinking my plans over. I'm gonna give it a moment and see if the internet comes back. If not, maybe I can tether through my phone and do it. I don't know. I've never done that with the PC. So I'm planning all this out. It kicks back in. We got the friend stuff already done. I join on him, and we managed to find like four other people already doing this public event. You have to do they have a special public event on three different planets,
mhm.
and you had to do it without any enemies in one of the three zones whenever it releases this energy wave. So you can get all these
Okay.
orbs to throw back at it. It's weird. And it was extremely easy to do before they were when we were 3D printing the rockets. Now we were trying to launch them. That's a different story. It's turned into a big mess, and the Triumph didn't work on the 3D printing part. So anyway, he had one friend join us, so that put us at 7 people, and we got it first try. So three of us and four other random people we've never met before just nailed it.
Nice.
And that
Yeah,
this all took place like within a 15-minute time span. So it's like, oh well, this was my whole night planned right here to just work on this, and now it's done.
there have been a few games recently where I've had those interactions with just random people that have actually been really good, like Sea of Thieves. I've run into a couple of people and just had a good time, not doing anything other than just hanging out on an island with them or something like that. Or in what's another? I'm trying to think of another game that comes to mind, but um, it seemed, I don't know if there's been some kind of change in gaming communities or something, but I'm seeing a few more of those positive, just random interactions. And maybe it's because none of them have voice chat or anything like that. It's just people getting in and playing the game and having fun. um,
Right, right.
I don't know. So I did look, and I have a little bit of a conundrum when it comes to Destiny 2. Because we've said I need to play more of Destiny 2.
That they've
Um,
been said, yes.
and I'm currently downloading the Steam version on Shadow. I can play it through GeForce Now, so it's not a big deal. But also, the only version that I have all of the content for would be Stadia. So
You
if
can't
I want
you can't see it, but I am just shaking my head.
to, if I want to play all of the content in Destiny 2 right now, I'd have to keep my Stadia subscription going, which ends in 2 days. Um,
I guess we got a
so
lot of work to do because I don't have Stadia and you don't have all the content.
I I'm looking at the cross save stuff on Bungie.net, and it's like every version, the Xbox, PS4, Steam, buy Shadowkeep and Forsaken, buy Shadowkeep and Forsaken.
Yeah.
And then over there on Stadia, it's like check mark, because you've got those, because the Stadia version is like the one that comes with all of the expansions.
Well, I mean, we just need to get you through the base game at least.
Yeah.
Oops.
So let's see. I'm currently at 28. I'm glad I can download this on Shadow because it's not using any of my bandwidth to download the game. I'm at 29 gigs of 87. So
God, I
it's
forget how big that game is
yeah,
sometimes.
it's huge. I think it's over 100 on the PlayStation.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So that's part of the reason I kept uninstalling it from the PlayStation is because I just didn't have space on my PlayStation to keep it there.
But I mean, it's all you need on the PlayStation.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Is it? Is it,
It
Tony?
it is because I play Paladins on the PlayStation,
Okay.
and I gotta have space for that.
All right.
So yeah, we'll do some Destiny at some point because I do need I it's one of those games that I find myself getting in, doing one mission just out of the blue. I'm like, you know what? I want to play some Stadia today. Some Stadia. Good grief! I'm looking at the icon on Bungie.net and I don't like it. Um, I'm like, yeah, I want to play some Destiny today. So I get in, I play a mission, and then I get out. It happens once every, couple of weeks. I'm like, yeah, I should play some Destiny. So
Yeah, for
maybe I
me,
should.
that's like every day. It's like, I should play some Destiny.
Yeah. Well, over the last, couple of months, if I'm like, you know what, I just want to play something. It's get in, go do a treasure hunt and Sea of Thieves, and get out. Um,
Maybe Sea of Thieves is your Destiny game.
Sea of Thieves could be my Destiny, but at the same time, Destiny could also be my Destiny.
Ah, no.
Um,
You didn't come in on Destiny 1. It's too late.
that's true. I didn't. I do. I still have the Destiny 1 disc somewhere. So but who knows? We'll play some
I'm
Destiny.
just like, oh, he still has it. That's amazing.
I do still have it. Yes.
I
So
think I uninstalled it finally because it's like, well, I'm never going to get to do those other raids I have never done.
I haven't had it installed in forever, but
Yeah,
I
I think it's equally as a big file as like Destiny 2. It might be like 50 gigabytes or something, but still.
yeah. So. All right. Any other happenings in Destiny to talk about?
No, I think I talked way too long about an event that should have been over and done with within 10 minutes, honestly.
I did hear someone call it Destiny's first Fortnite style live event.
Yeah, that may have been getting tossed around, and people were saying certain entertainers were very absent because of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay. Uh, the only thing I've really been playing this week, and I don't want to get in too deep to it because I don't really know how much to talk about it, is I've been playing Borderlands the prequel.
Hey, I have that. I played a little bit with Jason.
Uh, not too long ago, 2 or 3 months ago, uh, my son and I finished playing Borderlands 2, and we had a great time playing that together. Um, and I've had Borderlands the prequel, and it just actually came to the Epic Game Store as their free game that they gave away a couple weeks ago. And I downloaded it and told him he needed to download it. And then uh, my oldest kid's boyfriend um, also has played, was living with us for a while, and then they've moved out. Had him download it, and we've been playing through that together every
Nice.
night this week.
Okay, I gotta ask, who's playing as Claptrap?
Patrick is.
Is he enjoying it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
He's played through the game before. This is like his second time through. I
Oh,
think
well, that's unfair.
he played as a different character the first time, and now he's playing
I
this
went
weird.
in full claptrap. I'm still on my first time on there, and I'm going to claptrap all the way.
So
Never had to go through. I never had to go through so many menus saying, "Are you sure you want to play as this character?"
yeah. I'm playing as the cowgirl character, but I don't remember what the class is called.
Yeah, I just know claptraps there. I don't know what the classes or anything are.
Yeah. I'm the sniper of our group.
Hmm,
So this is the first time I'm playing a game like this on PC. So uh,
nice.
I've actually played it on PC and on my phone through Shadow a couple of times as well. So going back and forth between controller and mouse and keyboard has been interesting. But I'm the sniper. Patrick is the claptrap character who's just running around being annoying because that's what claptrap does.
Yes.
Uh, and then Jake has spec'd his character out as sort of a melee close combat style character.
Okay.
So uh, the one big thing about this game that makes it different from the others is all of the stuff we've been doing so far is on the moon. So gravity is light. You have oxygen meters that you have to deal with, and if you're not careful, you can run out of oxygen. You can start to suffocate. Um,
Yeah, I forget if I don't think claptrap has to worry about the breath.
no, Claptrap does not have to worry about that. Being a
It's
robot.
been a while, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to worry about that.
My biggest issue with this game, and it's good, it's just like any of the other Borderlands that I've played. My biggest issue is that I get really lost in this game. There's something about whether it's the map or just the way the levels are laid out in this game is I get very lost very easily.
Yes,
Um,
that that there it's that moon's like open world, but very
there's like
samey looking everywhere.
well, and there's a lot more verticality to these maps than I
That
think
too.
the other games as well. And so it's really hard just looking at the map to tell where you are in relation to the things that you need to be finding, aside from the fact that like the icon has an arrow that points up or down if the place that you're trying to get to is higher or lower than where you're at.
Hmm.
Um, and it could just be me, but that my perception with this game is that the levels are not laid out as good as Borderlands 1 or Borderlands 2 were. And I haven't played Borderlands 3, so I can't compare it to that.
Okay, that's
But
fair. Neither have I. So
the game is good. I find myself feeling really bad for Jack in this game because I know what happens
hmm
in the next game,
you can play
and
as him in this game though.
I'm the reason that spoiler that he dies in the next game because this takes place before Borderlands 2, and in Borderlands 2, he is the bad guy. He is a not likable character in
He,
Borderlands 2.
he's the bad guy, but he's like a hilarious bad guy. Really,
He is, but he's still not a likable character.
that's a good way to say it.
He's the bad guy for a reason, and you don't feel sorry for what happens to him at the end of that game. In Borderlands, the pre-sequel, he is not to that point yet, and he's a very likable character. He's still the same wisecracking,
It,
goofball.
if
But
you went one pre-sequel and then two, then I'm sure the story flows a very different way for you. But going on the way that they release the games, then I'm sure
yeah,
this is done like a full 180. It's like, oh, I hate this guy. I don't want it. But it's like, oh, that's what happened. Okay.
yeah. And I haven't gotten, obviously I haven't gotten to the point where I'm assuming that this sets up his character arc for Borderlands 2, and you start to see that bad guy version of Jack towards the end of this game.
Oh yeah,
Um,
most definitely. I think that has to happen, even though I have not beaten the game.
so uh, I'm sure that the the perception of Jack will change as the game goes further and further along. Um, I also I played the the Walking Dead version of
Tales of.
Borderlands, Tales of the Borderlands.
Yep.
Um, and I think does that, if I remember correctly, that takes place before all of it. Like
Sounds about right. I'm
that
not
is
sure.
a prequel to Borderlands 1, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. I never played Tales of, and I've not beaten Borderlands 2 or pre-sequel yet, and haven't even touched 3.
Borderlands is that franchise that like I'm not hugely a fan of. Like I've played all of the games so far in the franchise except for 3. I haven't done
Hmm.
that one yet.
Right. Right.
It's the franchise I've played the most of that I don't necessarily care the most about.
Okay.
It's a weird thing because like usually if I'm 4 games deep into a franchise, it's one that I really like and I'm sort of invested in. But I don't necessarily feel that way with Borderlands. Like I like it, but
It's a
I'm
fun
not
thing to jump into for a little bit and then forget about.
exactly. Um, so it's kind of weird in that respect. Like it's not
And
like
they keep
Zelda,
giving away the games for free on various platforms too.
yeah. Except for the Switch right now, you still have to pay for them on Switch.
Well, yeah, they
But
just kind of released it on there though, didn't they?
well, yeah, what sort of we knew they were coming out and we knew when they were coming out and that all of them were coming out at the same time except for 3. Borderlands 3 is not on there yet. Um, but it does seem like it was sort of, oh yeah, here's the games, but there's not a lot of fanfare to those releases, like I think. So
Well, yeah,
apparently
it's like
though,
that when they came out with the Handsome collection, which is I think that's what Epic Game Store gave out, which was just two pre sequel and
yeah,
two,
sequel and
and
2.
and it just seemed like that was overhyped really at the time. So I guess they've kind of called back what they were doing on that advertising since then.
Yeah, apparently the Borderlands games run really good on Switch. So, uh,
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah, that's fair.
but I'm playing this one on PC, which it's been really nice. I really like having Shadow so that I can play a lot of these PC games that I haven't been able to play. Um, and I have sort of moved from GeForce Now to Shadow just because of the library issues is the big thing.
Okay.
Uh, should GeForce Now and with their partnership with Steam, some of that may change because last week Steam announced that they are partnering with GeForce Now for Steam Cloud. Um, they are the first service that to start get into that cloud gaming scene. So that could change. I may, if those library issues sort of get worked out with GeForce Now, I will go back to them because I don't dislike the service, but Shadow just makes it so much easier to be able to just whatever I want to do, I can do it. I don't have to worry about does the game run on this service or whatever. So, um,
Good. Good.
there you go. But that is what I have been playing this week. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the news. Okay, so Ubisoft seems to be in the market for changing the definition of things. A couple weeks ago, they released a gameplay trailer for Assassin's Creed that didn't have any gameplay in it.
They said that one wasn't their fault.
So I'm pretty sure it would be. I mean,
They're just rewriting all the rules.
I guess maybe Microsoft is the one who sort of put we're going to be doing some gameplay of Assassin's Creed, and there was no gameplay. But they are also now apparently trying to change the definition of the word subscription because Trackmania Nations is coming soon. And if you don't know what that is a racing game. The big thing about that franchise is that it comes with a track editor, and people do some crazy stuff with the track editor. I've played a little bit of Track Nations over the years, but not a ton.
I've
Uh,
never heard of this game.
really, you should check it out. It's a fun
I need to
little
stop living under a rock, apparently.
fun racing game. Um, but Trackmania Nations is the next game, or is the next game that they're going to be releasing, and it is going to be free to download, free to play. Uh, but if you want to get full access to everything, like the track editor, which is the biggest thing that everybody wants, because uh, it has tons and tons of user generated content. There's some really good tracks out there if you can find them. You're going to have to pay $10 a year for access to the full version of the
For
game.
access, not subscribing, for access.
And that is what Ubisoft is calling it. There's also a $30 per year tier called
30
Club
year
Access.
access. There we go.
Yeah, not 30-year access. It's 12-month access for $30. And you'll get the track editor and some other exclusives. Racing leagues, you'll be able to join those. So that sounds very much like a subscription service, right?
It's kind of the definition of it, yeah.
Ubisoft says, and they talked about, a representative from Ubisoft talked about that and said, actually, it's not a subscription model, but an access to the game for a limited time. You're paying for having access to the game for one period, and that's it. When the time is over, you have to buy the game again for the time that you want to access it again. So, the definition of subscription from dictionary.com is the right to receive a service for a certain period of time. Is that not exactly what he said?
Well, I mean, you gotta throw the word Ubisoft in there, and then it changes the entire definition, man.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, essentially, you are either one of two things. And I guess technically they're sort of right. They could just be saying, you're just buying the game for a brief period of time, and then you have to buy the game completely again if you want to keep playing it. But it's a subscription service. They just don't want to use that word because for some reason they think that's a bad thing.
Oh no, gamers are getting their torches and pitchforks out.
I don't know if Ubisoft knows this, but a lot of people like subscription services.
And a lot of us also just tolerate.
That's true too. There is that. So I guess you have to decide, do more people like subscription services, or do more people tolerate the fact that you sometimes have to have a subscription to play some games? Like Xbox Live, subscription service. PlayStation Now, subscription service. GeForce Now, all of that stuff, subscription services. Stadia, subscription.
Okay.
That is the model that the games industry is heading to, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo technically has a subscription service too.
I mean, they do by the definition.
It's just not nearly as good as the other ones. But to be fair, it's also a third of the price of the other ones. But
yeah, and it's like, what are we paying for exactly?
Well, there is that. Yes, there is that. You're paying for the ability to play Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart online, is what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much, and not have nothing to use your cloud save for that they wanted you to have.
Yeah, because half the games that they release don't use the cloud.
Oh yeah, we don't have cloud access because we don't want you cheating. What's the point? Thanks for nothing.
Exactly.
Thanks Ubisoft for a racing game and you're charging $10 a month for, but it's not a subscription service. Throw in some loot boxes. Call them fun time grab bags.
There you go.
Yeah, that's not. They're not. That. Yeah, legal definitions don't matter anymore.
Don't say that out loud because EA will use that. Get your fun time grab bag. Ah, there you go.
Why
So
does that sound like
Ubisoft,
something you'd find in like a Five Nights at Freddy's game or something?
it does, doesn't it?
Oh
Uh,
man,
Speaking of that, I don't know that we ever talked about it on the show. The VR Five Nights at Freddy's game is coming to the Switch, but
I heard about that.
how's that going to work?
Labo.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I thought, but
Uh,
is
if he does the physical version, he's probably gonna have like a cutout thing for people to hold on their face, I guess. But there's like buttons and interactive things on there, so I don't know how that'll work really.
I don't either.
Unless you do it all
Uh,
one hand. That's weird.
well, I mean, everybody who has a Labo has modified
Ooh,
that.
what if he's gonna make it where it's just playable without VR?
Well, that's the other thing that I'm wondering. Is that what that's going to be? Is the game changing from a VR game to a not VR game to be on the Switch?
It's possible.
So I guess we'll find out. I don't know that we know when the game is coming to the Switch. We just know that it is coming to the Switch. But also, you'd mentioned it earlier. Destiny 2, they had the event today. So we broke that news story a little earlier than the news
Yep.
segment. We've talked all about that. There was a bunch of talk, sort of rumor going around the internet for the last week or so that Sega had a big announcement uh, this week, and some people were saying they had inside information that Sega was going to be releasing new hardware this week, and what that was. For a brief period of time, there was a rumor going around that the Xbox Series X was going to be rebranded as a Sega console in Japan.
So
So
that's where that
you
came from. Okay, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so you'd have, instead of the Microsoft Xbox Series X, you'd have the Sega Series X,
Dude, I would have totally imported one just to have that instead.
and it would have a Sega logo on the hardware instead of an Xbox logo. That wouldn't have been confusing at all.
No, actually, it wouldn't because Dreamcast actually was, or actually has like some Microsoft branding on there somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, there's some
Did not know
plans
that.
and stuff for it. I think it could run a some kind of version of Windows or something. I forget which one.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know anything about that. But
no,
that turned out not to be the case. Sega is releasing some new hardware this year, but it is of the Game Gear variety and not of the Xbox variety.
because
Uh,
that's what everyone was asking for.
Following the Genesis Mini, uh,
Hmm.
Sega has announced that they will be releasing a Game Gear Micro. And let me get.
Not just one Game Gear Micro, mind you.
Oh, no, they are releasing four. Um,
We have the standard black, we have the red, the blue, and the yellow.
yes,
And
it comes
apparently
in.
there's a 4-pack if you buy that. And someone's texting me. If you buy the 4-pack, you get like a clear case that has no game playability at all either. And you get the additional addition of the enlarging screen. Basically, it's magnifying glass that.
Yeah, they called it the big window.
And I had one on my original Game Gear, and it makes the whole thing bigger and bulkier, hilarious, and made everything way better too. So
Yeah, and the pictures of this thing, if you've seen it, it is okay. So let's talk about the system itself and how big it is, because
okay,
the Game Gear was bigger than a Game Boy. It came out around the same time as the Game Boy.
six
Um,
AA batteries in like 2 hours.
it was a battery hog, and it was a pretty bulky portable system. The Game Gear Micro, however, they're going the opposite way, and it will be smaller than a Game Boy Micro. So, for
It
anybody that knows, Game Boy Micro is really small. This will be roughly 3 by 1.5 inches, 3 inches wide, 1.5 inches tall, and a little less than an inch thick.
For comparison's sake, if you have a Nintendo Switch, pull the Joy-Con off of there and hold that in your
It's
hands
about the size of a
horizontal.
joy.
It's
Yeah,
about the same size, yeah.
it actually might be a little smaller than a Joy-Con,
It's around. It's roughly the same shape or size.
and it will have a 1.15-inch screen.
No, no one asked for that. Why?
A 1.15-inch screen. That is tiny. And it will be fully playable. It'll have a D-pad, two buttons, and it's got a headphone jack.
Yeah, that headphone jack's the reason it's as large as it is. It could be way smaller without it.
They probably could have made it smaller if they didn't put a headphone jack in it. And
But
you'll be able to charge it.
I can't wait to play all my favorite Game Gear games on these on whatever color I decide to buy. Right, Tony?
Yeah. So here's the thing. They are, like you said, releasing four different versions of the system in four different colors: the black, blue, yellow, and red.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those will have four games on them, and every system has a different selection of games. So if you want to get all 16 games that are available, you will have to buy all four. That's why they're selling a bundle.
It's going to cost about $200 for that entire set. By the
It'll be
way,
$250 for that.
yeah.
So each of the systems is going to be $50 a piece, roughly. We don't know. They haven't announced it for North America yet, so we're not 100% certain on
We don't
price.
even know if we're getting it over here. There's probably no point, right?
We may not. Oh, there's going to be enough people that are like, okay, just put it out there. It'll be
Oh,
fine.
all the pre-orders for the Japanese version sold out already.
Yeah. So, but yes, each system comes with four different games. The black one will come with Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone.
And these are all the Game Gear games. So when he says Sonic the Hedgehog, Game Gear Sonic the
The
Hedgehog,
Game Gear versions.
or Master System Sonic the Hedgehog, if you were one of those that had that game.
Yeah. The blue system will come with Sonic Chaos, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tale, and Baku Baku Animal.
Yeah, I forget that Gunstar Heroes had a Sega Game Gear port.
It did.
And whenever I remember that, I remember Dynamite Heady also had a Game Gear port.
The yellow system will come with Shining Force Gaiden Inside, Joshin no Kunihei. I am going to butcher all of this Japanese.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
The next one is Shining Force The Sword of Hadja. The third game is Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict and Nazopuyo Aruru no Ru.
What color was that one?
That is the yellow one.
So,
That's the
so if you really love Shining Force, get the yellow one.
yes. The yellow one is the Shining Force machine. And then lastly, the red one will come with Revelations the Demon Slayer, Megami Tensei Gaiden, Last Bible Special, and Megami Tensei Gaiden Last Bible Special.
Basically, if you love the Shin Megami Tensei stuff, this might be up your alley.
Yeah, this is the one you'll want to get. The GG Shinobi and Columns.
Oh my gosh. Man, columns. Ah, I hate columns.
So I would be getting either the black one or the red one, just because I would want the Megami Tensei.
So, I'm pretty sure like half of those games did not come out over here in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And they're not going to bother translating those. So I'm wondering what we would get over here. In
I
fact,
don't know enough about the Game Gear library to know what could possibly be on the American versions of these systems.
I'm trying to give me a second here.
So
Your link doesn't show me the that the games for each console.
it's in there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so yellow hat. So we can pretty much throw the yellow one away because we're not getting that over here.
No, not with all that Japanese Shining Force stuff.
The red one has those. So that's at least three of those games get tossed out, and then let's see, blue come. Sonic Chaos, Gunstar Heroes. Those are two games people want. The other two, I don't know. Sylvantel, whatever it is. If that's the game I think it is, then I know there's a high demand for that game, and if it's what I'm thinking it is, but I don't know on that one. And
The yellow system, we could toss all of that Shining Force stuff out, and you could get stuff like Comic Zone or Golden Axe or Altered Beast, something like that.
I can see them taking the black one and just making it like 4 Sonic games.
That's a possibility as well.
We'd have Sonic, Sonic 2, Sonic Chaos, and maybe Sonic Triple Trouble. Then we'd have that blue one, probably, keep Sonic. That's what they would do. They would just do solid Sonic games over here. And we have like Tails Sky Patrol on the yellow one.
Well, I could see them, doing some like Puyo Puyo, Outrun. Those are both well known enough
Doctor
here
Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Yep, that is Puyo Puyo.
that they may replace Puyo Puyo with Mean Bean Machine. That's a good point. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, but it'll be interesting. Like we said, there is no announcement of a release date for the United States. No games list possible. We don't know what it would look like. I know, there are some Game Gear games on the Switch. So if you're curious about what some of these Game Gear games play like, check out some video of that. So, and then lastly here, Ethan, GDQ has announced that the summer version of the event
Summer games done quick.
will not be happening physically this year. It will all be done online.
Yes, the on-site portion is getting canned completely due to concerns over COVID-19,
Hmm.
and rightly so. They'd already delayed the event till August just to give this stuff time to pass by and get over and done with, but apparently that's not. Uh, the world has not evolved far enough for that to be good
Yeah.
enough. So
I'm hoping we'll be able to get back to, you know,
I'm
proper.
expecting it to AGDQ to be back in full force, and let's see. I think they have that mini GDQ that happens before that,
Hmm.
but this one's been pushed back so far. It might just overwrite that one completely. I don't know, but AGDQ, that's your winter game, or that's the winter portion. Usually takes place around the early first couple of weeks of January. So maybe we'll see a return then, and I hope so. So yeah,
Okay. There you go. We keep up with all the GDQ news, so as we know more, we'll of course give you guys all of that news as well.
and this might even lead to future changes for how they go about their event. Like they'll still have the on-site event, and maybe they'll have like a sub event where it's online only that they have interchangeable, or every instead of doing like two things every year, they'll probably have like an on-site run and then an online or off-site thing for the next season, and switch back and forth.
Yeah. Who
You,
knows?
I mean, if that'd be like a good idea, probably.
But yeah, we'll see, and we'll definitely keep everybody up to date on all of the GDQ news as we find out more. Um,
Yep.
but that is it for the news. So let's move on to listener feedback. And in our Facebook group this week, one of the things that I had posted was something about video game quotes and wanting to know what everybody's favorite video game quotes were. Of course, we know mine comes from a series that you will be very familiar with soon, Ethan, and that is the Mario and Luigi series. One of my favorite villains of any video game of all time is Fawful, and he has the best line ever, and that is, "I have chortles." I love that line, but that's not the only thing he says like that. He uses that "I have something" a lot. Like when he gets mad, he says stuff like "I have fury." Um,
Or he'll call you Rat Fink randomly.
so
Tony, did you know I started playing that game today?
I did not. You had not told me that.
Yeah, I didn't get to it because I was talking Destiny.
Yeah, Fawful makes an appearance in a couple of the games, so you will get to be very familiar with him.
Got it.
But some of the people in the Facebook group also sent us over theirs. And Cole, for instance, his favorite line, I don't know what game this comes from. I am one freaking bad blank overlord. No clue what game that is from. I'm assuming it's probably something like Overlord, but I don't know.
It's possible.
That almost seems too easy. But it's not a line that I recognize. Christy via Facebook said her favorite was "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this." Everybody knows that's from the original Mario game. So.
I just shook my head like, wait a second. Oh gosh.
You know, got to have the plunger with you. It's dangerous if you don't have a plunger. And then Jesse from the Facebook group, his was "How goes the war against the humans?" which I believe is from a Wing Commander game. Which one? Couldn't tell you. I just know I think it's from a Wing Commander. Which I am a huge fan of. I'm like a sucker for a good space sim. So, Wing Commander, the X-Wing games, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Descent Free Space, all of those old school classic space shooters I love. And then we'll end the show, Ethan, with yours. What is yours?
Mine is stick for a body, head full of straw, give me a scarecrow, rah rah rah.
What is that from?
It's from a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo game
Okay.
that was made by Square Enix.
Okay.
That has a. It's an RPG. A JRPG,
Okay.
yes.
Is this something like Chrono Trigger?
No. You play as a guy that wears a lot of red and blue.
Guy that wears a lot of red and blue.
Mm-hmm. And you have to team up with unlikely an unlikely friend to rescue another person who decides that they're tired of being a goody goody and they decide to team up with you as well. And then there's this crybaby and then a marionette that joins you as well.
Okay, that sounds a lot like Mario RPG.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's the character is Belome. I think that's what his name is. The yellow thing with the fire truck or the fire hose tongue.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Yeah.
So, I have not played more than a few minutes of Mario RPG. It's the one Mario RPG game I haven't really played.
You need to play it and stream every bit of it.
Really?
Yep. We'll make it a donation incentive for you to keep playing.
Okay, we could do that. We'll have to figure out how to do that.
All right.
So, all right. Well, there you go. That will be the show for this week. So, thank you, Ethan, for being here.
We'll have to decide if we're making you do 100% or just beat the game.
Oh gosh, I have almost never 100%ed a game. If you want to reach out to us, we have new ways to do so. You can email us at procedurallygeneratedent@gmail.com. If you like what we do, you can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/pgent. Patreon supporters get the video version of the podcast a day early. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/progenint. Check out our YouTube channel, and we still have that famous Facebook group where you can interact with us on a daily basis as well.